Welcome to the Business Spotlight and the Scale Her Up podcast. I'm Brenda Hector, and with me today I've got Lorraine Malcolm from the House of Hair. Welcome, Lorraine.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Lorraine is my phenomenal hairdresser and friend and fellow networker. And you've got a great business story with a passion for making people feel good. So tell us how you got into business, Lorraine.
Um, well, I mostly started because I felt that, I wanted to give my clients that sort of experience when they were in the salon, and that sort of where I was, like the client base that I built was so loyal and amazing. And I had gone away out to Australia for a year, and when I came back, they'd all sort of come back to me. And I just sort of felt that it was the right time to take that step out on my own. And so I started chair renting, and through sort of a succession of kind of different things that went on, I landed up having my small shop down in Orchard Street. And that was kind of where the actual business sort of started to really take off for me. And within about 5 months of being there, I had a young girl sort of send me this message saying, "Hi, I live across the road and I wondered if you'd have any junior positions." And, to my absolute proud boss moment, I feel like she's now my senior stylist and we're 9.5 years in. And I really feel that she just sort of pushed me to be better and, to keep up training for her and and, to make the salon a feeling of community within that sort of Orchard Street area. Um, and now, we got to the point after COVID that the salon just was actually just a bit small, with all the regulations and restrictions that were in place. So when we went into the second lockdown, I just started to look for a new premises, and then that was when we found the D Street location that we're in now. And it kind of, I had a very specific idea of what I wanted for the salon. I wanted a nice open space. The Orchard Street salon had been surrounded by windows, so there was lots of natural daylight. And as a hairdresser, that really is so important to us being able to provide the right service for our clients. The fact it was in the city centre sort of was a draw as well, because I have clients that come from Aberdeenshire and in the city. So have been able to kind of reduce that sort of commute to us definitely was a huge appeal. And the car parking is pretty phenomenal that came with the building, that, like for being such a central location. And now our team has grown and we have two new young ones that are in. And Zoe, I couldn't be prouder of. She's come on leaps and bounds in the last 10 months. And we've promoted her as stylist, and she's just so keen for learning and as part of our team. She understands how well Abby and I work together, and she's really integrated into that. And I think learned a lot in the 10 months. And the understanding is in the salon that, no question is a stupid question. So ask, and ask as many times as you need. Like, we will tell you the same answer every time, we'll be consistent. And I really feel that even with like Emma, who's currently doing her level 3 modern apprenticeship, Zoe and her, it's really lovely to see how well they sort of work together, and they can make those decisions together, and they have that support within the team, is it even if I'm not in the building, to ask directly. Um, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you were talking about Emma, was it, and how she's
Yeah, so
integrating part of the team now.
she's really gotten herself into, like, being a very known part of the team. And I think it's lovely, all the clients sort of speak to her. And I think her and Zoe and Abby and I, it's like she knows that she can ask anyone in the salon and she's going to get the same information. Do you know, like, it's, if Zoe's free or Abby's free or I'm free, she can ask anybody. Is it, there's not a feeling that, like, that she's like interrupting, or, like it's causing a problem. Do you know, like, it's like she knows to ask first, is it? And then kind of yeah, we go there. But I think what we've been working on with her, sort of like when we did her appraisal sort of just last week, like I'd said to her that I think that, like there's a point where you're a hairdresser where you actually have all the information you need and you know it, but you also have to learn to trust your own judgment and, go with it. And she's definitely at that point where she has all the information, but she still wants you to confirm. So something that we've decided is one of her goals for her next sort of quarter is to um come to me with her, so like, what she's going to do, or go to Abby with what she's going to do, just to have that confirmation rather than getting us to come over and actually sort of take over the consultation for her, is it? And then she does the following through in that application, because I feel that her application now is as good as it needs to be, to be working on the floor. But it's just her confidence that building that she's making the right decision and that it's not going to be wrong, So yeah, we've
I
just
think
changed.
I think you've created a really lovely culture within the House of Hair, and as a customer and as a business coach, I can really see that, and that you've got quite a passion for developing others that are coming behind you. So yeah,
Absolutely.
Abby close behind you, and the others that you've just described there.
Yeah.
Um, I guess it's not always plain sailing building a team. So yeah, what have been the biggest challenges that you've had there?
I think sometimes it's almost like myself that's been like, like my biggest sticking point, because I'm such an open book that I feel that like I can, anyone could ask me anything, and I always try to kind of, be that warm person, but also I'm very focused on my client, when they come in, because at the end of the day, like I'm very aware that it's about their experience, so I think that for me, it's a bit of like trying to get out of that imposter syndrome that everybody at times suffers from, is it, where you are the boss and you're the boss, but you're also in it with them. Like I am still a hairstylist at heart. Like my job is still to provide great services and send my clients out looking and feeling fantastic. And that's always going to be what makes me tick as a person. So I think that, trying to remind myself sometimes that like both is okay. Like you're allowed to, sometimes have to step away from the client and to support them, and really trying to, I think with Abby and I, because we worked in a small salon, like the shop was so much smaller that, the ability to kind of have conversations and include even both clients and sometimes the consultation process was much easier. Whereas in the bigger salon, sometimes, they're like 5 meters away from me. Like, so, I have to physically move that 5 meters, is it, away from my client. Whereas I think that they liked watching and being a part of it with Abby, whereas the difference now is that, they're not as included possibly in that sort of, like part of it. So for me, like that challenge of like that I'm not actually reducing the experience to my client by, moving over and helping another member of the team, because they still are happy for me to do that, like they always have. But I think that sometimes, we've had other girls come in from other salons that have had different experiences, and trying to get them into those habits of asking, and instead of just fumbling through, is it, which, then leads to, more time out of the salon, because there maybe has to be a redo, or, like our redo has like, significantly reduced since like that sort of team has become slightly more open. And it's, I think, come from the fact that I have changed my ways of making sure they're aware that they can come and ask me anytime. And that's definitely been something that I've had to like have as a focus. Like it's something that I've had to put work into to do. Like, even if it is just when I walk past them, asking them outright, is everything okay? Do you need any help? Like it, and it's trying to open that communication barrier, because I never really had to do that with Abby because of the fact she was just right there. So like
Is
me understanding that, do you know, like is definitely been, you know, a challenge and something that I've had to really pull my focus to.
I think a lot of business owners are in this are the same though, that um if you're going to grow, if the business is going to grow, or if you're going to grow as a business owner and as a leader, you need to be doing things differently and you need to
Yeah.
be willing to make changes.
And I
So, and I
definitely
guess
think that,
transition to the bigger salon, that's had to happen for you.
yeah. And I think that, you know, it is like funny because I feel like now when I do the appraisals with the girls, like something that I've changed is that, you know, like at the end of the appraisal, like I try to get them to give me almost like a mini appraisal back, do you know, like things that I can do for them that's better. And then I think that me listening to that and like, you know, like trying to go forward in it, because firstly, they'll always turn around and be like, "Oh, you're brilliant, lady." Do you know, like you're like, "Well, thanks for stroking my ego, but now let's tell the truth." Do you know, like, you know, it's like nobody's perfect, and I want to be, you know, the best boss for you. Do you know, like, so like my goal is to make sure that we're, you know, we're achieving that, and the only way I can achieve it is by you being honest and telling me. And I think, you know, a lot of the time it comes back at, well, you know, I never want to feel like I'm disturbing you. Do you know, like, and I'm like, well, that's something I have to work on then, is it? So it's something that I would say for the last sort of 10 months I've really been focused on. And I think that that's what's shifted that culture, do you know, like in the salon, is it like to where I wanted it? Um, yeah.
Back is the breakfast of champions, isn't it?
Yeah. I agree. And I think I always did have it. I just hadn't realized that having more square footage would put walls up. Do you know, like they're like sort of, yeah, like they're just like they're invisible walls, is it? But it, you know, it is the difference between working on top of each other and, you know, you're being able to have a conversation without shouting, you know, like whereas, you know, now it's just yeah, it's just different. And I think,
Unforeseen challenges that um
yeah,
and that I guess those appear for all business owners as well. Yeah.
definitely. And again, I think that, you know, because, you know, Abby and I still have that rapport in the salon, you know, because like, you know, there's certain things that she'll be doing and, you know, I can see her maybe getting a little bit stressed. She's maybe going out of time. So then, you know, like you have got a sync that you work in, is it because you were so used to being so close? Whereas, you know, like that is very much coming and is there now, I feel, with the girls. But it's something we've had to focus on, you know. And so it was something definitely like an unforeseen, for sure. That's like it's been a different challenge.
Sorry. What have been your biggest successes in business, Lorraine?
My biggest success, well, I mean, I feel like, you know, I went from a 20 square meter building to 120 square meters. Do you know, like, so I feel like, you know, that is something I was very proud of. I think the fact that we did it without, you know, any kind of input of like money as such. Do you know what I mean? Like we managed to kind of put everything in the building ourselves. And obviously by using local companies to do that, do you know, like that's always something that I strive for, is that, you know, you're trying to help one another out and promote each other. And, you know, even like, you know, the electrician and the plumber that we used, I still recommend to my clients to this day, do you know? And I think that that success is, you know, the push for it was definitely like, I mean, I could have worked in Orchard Street for the rest of my life, is it? Do you know, like, but seeing how brilliant a hairdresser Abby's turned out, like, she is literally like my like proudest, you know, like moment, is it? When, you know, seeing her now thriving and, you know, like she just, yeah, she makes me so proud every day. Do you know, like, and I feel like she is probably, other than the square footage, like my biggest success, is it like, you
So,
know,
just not last month, but the month before, I was present when you'd been shortlisted for an award and you got the highly commended.
Yeah.
Is it does winning awards, is that something that's up there in your?
I mean, I feel that that award really like it gave me a feeling of confidence that I had been lacking. I think from the business community rather than from the hairdressing community. And I feel that like it really cemented that I'm in the right going in the right direction, is it? And that I'm like, I feel like it's given me like a level of calm almost. Like, do you know, like I don't feel like I'm racing towards something that I didn't know what it was. Do you know that like it just gave me that feeling of being recognized for the hard work that we have put in. I think winning awards is always, it's always going to be, like such a like yes, it's always going to be a really lovely feeling. But I think that that award in particular was a very like special one because it is nominated by peers, and it's an unpaid award. So I have in the past been nominated for like the British, sorry, the Scottish Business of the Year awards, and we've finalised, and but those awards are always like they're paid. Do you know, like so we pay to enter. You have to put in like a full like like script of questions that they've asked you. Like it's like a full application process. Whereas I had no clue that the BWC were going to be shortlisting me for that. And when I got shortlisted, I was then invited for an interview, which, we were only given the direction of like four like questions. And it was only a 30-minute interview. And, I always feel better when I'm talking about my business rather than writing about it. And I really felt that even when I was sitting in the room with the two ladies that were judging, like the feedback I was getting from them was just so lovely. And I'd said to them, finalizing in something like this where I know I've been nominated by like people that I know who like, have supported my business is it through the last like 4 or 5 years. Um, it really like shows what they think of me. Do you know, like so like I feel that like if I finalized at that point, I'd already won. Do you know? And it really did.
I'm having a bit of a blinding flash of the obvious here. Like to hear what you're saying there, and I think for all of us as business women supporting other business women, as business owners supporting people in our network, we should be nominating. When we see
Yeah,
awards somewhere, like pay it forward, pay it back,
absolutely.
nominate other businesses that we believe are doing really well
Yeah,
and deserve success.
I
So
agree. I
yeah,
really agree with that. And I think that there's nothing more lovely than feeling like you've been given, I mean, I got highly commended, which I mean, I'd had an email a few days before giving me the itinerary of the day, and it said at the bottom, like, all people that have been put up as a finalist, we have really struggled in some categories to pick a winner. And we've decided that some categories will have a highly commended award, which wasn't actually part of what the script was. Do you know, like that wasn't how they thought it was going to go. They just wanted a winner, and then that would be it. So I think the fact that like our category was a tough category, and I really didn't really know how they would kind of work it because we were against like the fashion industry, we were against beauty, and we were against hair. And although all of that is an outward appearance, it's all very different business models, do you know? And so the fact that like, half the women in the room were dressed by the lady who actually won the award, which, which shows like, like she's well supported and like, everybody loves what she's doing. I felt honored that like, to get that highly commended and that had been a struggle for them to make that decision. Because to me, when, she was speaking, is it, I was like, you're definitely the winner, do you know, like, and I felt really, like proud at that moment, is it that like, that, yeah, it's just such a such a warm feeling in the room. And I mean, you were like, the whole day I felt like was just amazing, just knowing that every person in there who was finalized had been nominated by peers rather than paying to be like, okay, we paid our tickets, like to be there, but the actual awards themselves were like given out, is it? And yeah, it was an amazing buzz of a day.
That people nominate others, and it's just a shows how much support there is for other women in business and whatever. So I'm just thinking, over the years, who've been your biggest supporters?
Um, so it's funny because I actually have got clients like, and I'm 36, like I'm going to be 37 in April, and I'm going to be um like celebrating unbelievably 23 years in the hairdressing industry, because I was 14 when I first started as the Saturday girl in the salon. And I have clients who I started doing their hair when I was 17, like who are still coming to me now and have sent me, clients, is it like, and repeat clients and people who have become such an integral part of my like community and the way that I like to, show my appreciation to clients, But I think that realistically, like it's it's your clients that are your biggest supporters. They're the ones who you like your stuff on Facebook, tell their friends, they walk around as your advert every day. But then I know that like there's people like yourself, yeah, and like that's what I say. And I feel like then there's the girls I've met in the networking community, and I would say like you, Tracy Franz, like she sent me like her entire like Rolodex, like I feel like even like Diana Muzzle, Jackie Johnston, like, the amount of promotion and promoting she does for me, like all over Facebook every time she's in, she's constantly, like telling everybody about how fabulous we are. And I mean, like, I'll probably miss out people, which is like, I'll figure that out later, is it? But like, there really is just like an endless warmth that comes from the fact that I would never have met you, Brenda, had it not been for our networking group. Do you know, like our lives, paths might not have crossed. So I do think that like the people that I've met in the networking group, that we were part of, and now like the women in business connect, like we like the support is just endless. Do like if you're willing to put the work in, is it, then everybody's behind you. But yeah, I don't think I could narrow it down to
Yeah,
just
but that's the brilliant answer. Your
yeah
customer and your
yeah
net. I mean,
yeah
yeah,
yeah
let's appreciate the people that we're surrounded by. And yeah, all of us
absolutely.
didn't have customers, we wouldn't have a business. So
I agree.
I
I
think
agree.
like 20 years that people have been coming to you. That's
It's
brilliant.
insane.
What are your ambitions for the future then, Lorraine?
I mean, I'd love to see the salon, continue to grow. I think when April comes round, we'll definitely be looking to add like new members to the team that are to start at the beginning. Um, I think watching the other girls kind of grow into senior stylists as Abby has, that would absolutely be, like astounding. I would really love to get that sort of connection with like a beauty therapist so that we're given that all round sort of beautifying that we can sort of give. And I think really like my ambition is always the same. It is always to, have a healthy life, have a happy life, and, be rich in experience. So, I will always strive, is it, to make sure that our experience for our customers is like 5 star, And I suppose everybody has to dream that, one day they'll be living in Barbados on a beach, is it? So I'll slide that in there at the end so
Well,
that,
they're just going to cut my hair. I'll have to move to Barbados.
I'll
Well,
have made a mini me by then, is it? Like there'll be somebody I feel like that's the thing. It's lovely to see because I think Zoe, you know, it's funny because every hairdresser has things that they love doing. Like, you know, like we can all do everything in the salon, but you know, it's funny how you slip into niches, is it? Do you know, like, and I think that I've already always had a real passion for like short hair and like different styles. Do you know, like I've always kind of been quite a creative like cutter. And like I love colouring and I like, you know, but I and I, you know, and I love a big bouncy blow dry, but I really feel that like, you know, Zoe is very much kind of coming up the back of me like that. Like she really loves branching out of what is the norm for a haircut, do you know, like, and really that understanding. So I think that, you know, like being able to kind of get the girls into like finding their own niche, is it, do you know, like, in that thing that they just love, so that, you know, when they come in the door, like I say to them, like, this isn't a job, like, this is like, you know what I mean? We get paid to stand around and like chat to people all day. Like, come on. Like, this is not real life. Do you know, like if somebody susses this out, do you know, like we might have to go get a real job, do you know?
Oh,
So
do you know, that's a brilliant share. If everybody in business, everybody in their workplace should have that feeling.
yeah, for
Um,
sure. For sure.
um,
It's like, you know, you spend too much time at work, Brenda, to like not be there just with that fire in your belly, is it? And feeling charged from it. Do you know, like, and I think sometimes, like, even on a long day, like 10 hours, you know, like we're all down in the back room, like there's no grumping, there's no like, you know, there's not a single person in that building that doesn't want to be there, is it, for the client? Like, you know, and it's, I mean, I wrote in the kitchen when we first started, we had got quite a bit of pink in our hallway, as you well know, and I had quite a bit of like fuchsia pink paint left. So I wrote above the kitchen sink because obviously it's where we, you know, we wash all the dishes. Like we're in there quite a bit, keeping everything clean, tidy. So I wrote on it like, "Go be amazing, you talented human." Is it, with like a big love heart and like covered it in glitter? Do you know, like, so you know, if anybody ever is having a bit of a weird day or whatever, I'm like, go read the mantra and go get back to work. Is it, you know, like we're here, you know, like all these people's are choosing us, is it? So choose them. Like,
oh, that's brilliant. And that I can't think of a better place to end the interview, Lainey. That's brilliant. Just go be amazing, you talented human.
simple, Brenda, simple but effective, is it? Like,
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the Business Spotlight and
thanks
Scale
for
Her Up
having me.
podcast. From your snowbound temporary accommodation. Hopefully the weather improves and you get back home again soon. So yeah, thank you very much, Lorraine.
Thanks, Brenda. Thanks so much.